Okay, Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. We actually, today is show number 101, Monique. 101.
That's
pretty
amazing.
Cool, huh? Thank you. Thank you for joining us and being part of it. A special thank you. Want to just get started here. Let's jump right into it, see what's going on, and the agents will jump on as we progress. So your place of business is Scottsdale, Arizona. That's world?
Right. Yeah. So, people remember Scottsdale. There's 17 little cities in our county, Maricopa County,
Okay.
including, of course, Phoenix, Scottsdale, and then Chandler, Gilbert, a lot of little cities. So I work the whole Maricopa County.
Got it. Okay. And so from one end of the county to the other, I mean, is it a big drive or it's just hot?
It's just hot. Get in your car definitely before 1 o'clock, before traffic. But, I work the whole county. And it's basically like, I would say 45 miles from one end to the county to the other. So it's super easy to get around. Again, right. if you leave early.
If you leave early. So is your office location kind of in the middle of that? You're on one end or the other? You work
yeah. So my home office. Sure. So our brokers in Scottsdale, and ever since I had my first child, I decided to work from home, which has been a really great decision for me. So for 12 years, I've been working out of my home office, which is close to Camelback Mountain.
Wow. So you've been working from home before working from home was cool.
That's right. I was so progressive, Neil. I just knew that I would never see my children if I worked in the office. So it worked out. There was really no transition, when COVID hit, because we were all working remotely.
So let's talk about that for a second. A little off here, but for good reason. Mm-hmm. So you had the kids. How old are the kids now?
So 12 and 13 now.
Okay, so they're still youngsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I hear a lot from moms that are working like yourself at a high level, they work at home, etc. How do you manage the distractions from the kids? Because the kids are going to get your attention.
Yeah, they were just behind me just now. Especially in the summer. So I was just talking to my real estate coach, Tony Smith, through the Mike Ferry organization. Sure. And I told Tony, I said, Tony, I don't want to get summer brain. Just because my kids are, starting their summer mentally, I don't want to start a summer. So I really want to keep my production on par. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I just said, you know what? I actually don't need to do anything very different. I just need to be aware that the kids are home, and I still have to start my day at 7:30, and I still have to make my 30 contacts, and I'm still going to take my 12 listings every, this month in June. So right. It's, it's almost just being aware and understanding that it's an issue and making a decision and then just doing it.
So do you have help at home? Does that anybody?
I do. Yeah. So the husband's the operations manager of the team. And I say he kind of is the operations manager of our lives as well. So he's a huge piece of this whole thing. And then we have, now it's not really a nanny, it's more of a housekeeper. So they're able to take care of, the kids if needed, do dishes, clean the house, basically a full housekeeper. So sure. it definitely is a whole village is what it takes to be, doing a couple hundred deals a year.
So basically you're doing a couple hundred deals a year, and you've been doing that from the beginning, or there was a ramp up period?
Oh goodness, there was a ramp up period. Come on now. I was just like a normal solo agent back in 2004 when I started in this crazy business. So I was a solo agent. I was a buyer's agent for about 3 years, like 2004 to 2007-ish. Got my coach, my Mike Ferry coach in 2005. And I'm so grateful for the whole organization, because it's why I'm doing the level of production that I'm doing today.
for you.
And, it was, I slowly progressed to having a team where, I had like my first assistant, right? And then I started to partner up with other agents in my brokerage as a buyer's agent. I didn't have my own buyer's agent. So it just like slowly and organically started to grow. I would say probably around my seventh year in the business, I started to develop like a small team with the one assistant, right? And then I just kept building from there.
Got it.
Then today we have, of course, my husband as an operations manager. We have 4 admin, and we have 4 buyer's agents.
So you do most of the listing taking and generating?
Yeah, that's right.
How many listings are you taking right now?
So last month I took 12. Yes, that's the goal.
12 in the month of May.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Some months this year I've taken 9, 10. It obviously the goal is to always do 12 or more.
So have you taken like through May 50-ish?
Yes, and I will tell you in a second, but 50-ish sounds correct.
Okay, good. All right. So, and then the rest of the team. So basically kind of what I think I'm hearing is you have a listing job. Your husband does the operations work. You have buyer's agents that do the other stuff. And then you have 4 admin for all the other things, which I assume takes care of the buyer's agents for your buyer people. And also, is there a particular person that handles your listings for you?
So we have a listing coordinator that handles really all of the team's listings, including mine. And then her assistant assists me on what I call the acquisition side. So when I do get a listing appointment, then we send out the email, the introductory email, or the pre-listing packet. And then we have everything automated, of course, with, the drip systems and the campaigns that we send out to the leads.
So let me ask you a question there. You're differentiating yourself between a email that goes out and a pre-listing package.
Correct.
The email, is the email kind of an introduction to you and the business you're going to do, and then the pre-listing package gets delivered, or do you handle that differently?
So, I would say that my listing appointments are usually within 24 hours, right? So an expired, you've got to get there as quickly as possible. So that's just when we send out an email if it's just a 24-hour turnaround. But if it's 48 hours or more, then we send out a pre-listing package. And it's the same information.
Okay, so you're emailing the same information, or you're delivering it.
That's right.
Do you ever track to see which one has more impact?
Oh my gosh, the pre-listing package, do it every time. It's a game changer because nobody does it.
Right.
So
even though it's been recommended for probably 35 years that I'm aware of.
Exactly. And keep it updated. I went on this appointment and my numbers weren't updated. I had like March, of this year through March of last year's production. And she's like, so have you been taking the last 3 months off, or 2 months off?
Oh, wow.
I was like, you actually read my packet. That's amazing. But people are going to read the packet sometimes, and it's going to set you, at a different class. You're already this professional, before they even meet you, they already know, what to expect.
Got it. Anything special in the pre-listing package for Monique, for you? Or is it pretty much what Mike recommends, and then just make sure it gets delivered it's delivered by your team, or do you send it FedEx? How do you do this?
So our title company helps us, and they courier it over in a little envelope. And it's always a good idea to let them know, hey, it's going to be dropped off at the front of your door, because people don't really use their front door anymore. Okay. But I would say, yes, it's our standard, very Mike Ferry listing packet, where it's got my marketing plan. It's going to have the comps. It's going to have a net sheet, and then it's going to have the contract. And then I do include my production for the last 12 months. Just like an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. Okay, good. So Monique, one of the things that goes through a lot of agents' minds, and I think you have a pretty Mike Ferry marketplace, Scottsdale, Phoenix, that
Mhm.
Chandler, Arizona stuff,
Right.
pretty Mike Ferry.
Yeah.
Okay. I would think that an agent would say, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to send a pre-listing package. Everybody here is sending a pre-listing package, so I'm not going to send a pre-listing package. Are you saying even in quote unquote Mike Ferry country of Arizona, that agents don't do that?
Yeah, agents don't do that. No.
Wow.
It's rare. Yeah, it's rare. So just do it. Don't think about it.
So
Just
don't
put
think
it
about
together.
it, just do it. Okay.
So I would assume most people on this call already have their packets already ready. I mean, I have like 30 listing packets, ready. So I obviously am prepared, for the appointment, before the appointment.
Right. And you're doing 10 to 12 a month. So that's very cool.
Mhm.
And so let's talk about that for just a second. The source of your business in the last few years has well, I don't know. I was going to say probably changed, but maybe it hasn't. What's been the source of your business for the last couple of years?
So, being in the business for 19 years, a lot of my transactions, of course, are my past clients. But I would tell you that, separate from the past clients that I still call, my goal is to do 20 past client calls a day. I still love expired and cancels, and I love a changing market because we're actually going to have expired and cancels to call. So I haven't listed many expired or canceled in the last 2 years. So I really think, can I list a minimum of 2 a month? I mean, that just seems like such a little number, but the accumulation effect, if I, can do 24, that would be really awesome in the next, 12 months. Another source that I really enjoy working are probates. I love calling that segment of the population because a lot of people don't have a realtor locally, and then can really use just a full service team, and love to help that source of business. So I would tell you that those are really my main sources: my past clients, the expired and cancels, and the probates.
Okay, great. Excellent. On the past client and sphere, I mean, how big's your database right now, more or less?
About 2,000.
2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's accumulated really over since about 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Do you capture the client on the other side of the transaction, on the buying side? Do you do that?
I haven't done a good job on that, Neil.
Interesting.
I know.
Well, I thought you were going to give me we do this. Wow, so you don't.
I'll always tell you the truth.
Wait. You put together a team. You got a couple hundred transactions a year. Sounds like you're taking, I don't know, 100 listings or so a year, give or take. And you're not doing 100% of what Mike Ferry tells us to do. Wow.
I have a lot of room for improvement. That's for sure.
Wow. Very interesting. Well, that's very cool. Good stuff. Okay. So let's back up a little bit. Okay. Let's back up a little bit. You did say that when COVID hit, you were already working from home. You were already doing that kind of business. Did it shake you, Monique, at all? Did when we hit COVID, did that bother you? Did you cruise through it? Were you more prepared than the average bear? Were you overextended? Where were you mentally on that?
Neil, I'll tell you, it really didn't shake us. Again, we were all virtual. I think there was maybe a 2-week period that the market, was silent and my phone wasn't ringing. And then it was just after that, it was just like, an explosion, hit. And, even though it seemed like it was a little tougher taking listings, maybe at the beginning, like around that March, April timeframe of 2020. But I just feel like the market just kept getting better and better. And more people, you guys, Southern California, came into Phoenix, Arizona.
Everybody, if we weren't going to Phoenix, we were going to Tennessee.
Right. So it's been a tremendous 2 years, and just seeing the slowdown in the last month that's been a big shift.
So that's so let's talk about that right now. All right. So, we've been talking about it. Mike's been talking about it. We've been seeing it in the news that this and this and this interest rates are going to pop up, and surely they did. And our buying power was eroded, and it is. How's that affecting your market?
Well, I'm looking at my numbers. So I can see like in April, I took, let's see, 11 listings. I'm taking more listings, it seems like, because I started at 6 in January, 11 in February, I don't know, let's see, 8, dipped down to March and 8. And now April was 11, May was actually 13. So I think it's just going to cause us to take more listings because people know that the time is now to list before the market softens even more. So I think it's just going to be easier for us to take listings. Those agents that are prospecting and, being consistent, there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us.
Absolutely. I suspect that your conversation changes slightly with your clients because they're expecting to have a bunch of showings, a bunch of offers, and a bunch of money that is slowing down. May not have stopped, but it is slowing down. Are you seeing that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, just today, I just had 2 cancellations and I'm going, oh man, that now we have to have another conversation with the seller because now their expectation is we did sell in a day or 2 and we did get their list price, but now we're putting the property back on the market. And I feel like now I have to set their expectations. Like, Mr. Seller, if we don't get, the market's changing and it's cooling off, rates are about 5.25. They're supposed to be going up another few times throughout the course of the year. So if we don't get an offer in the next week, that might mean that we're 5 to 10% off on our price. So let's have that conversation in another week, or, should we be even more aggressive on our price today? So it's that setting expectation conversation that, Neil, I'm literally like having to have that today, with like 2 of my sellers.
Right.
So
no, that's exactly correct. And we have to have it more often.
And then having the script, I even have it like in front of me right now. It's like, hey, can I have your permission to be totally honest with you, Neil? Because sometimes I'm not going to like what agents say. But do I have your permission to be 100% completely honest? And then
Sure.
we're going to.
What are you referring to?
Yeah, because see, the market's cooling off, right? So my goal, or what we should have happen, is that we have 3 to 5 showings every single week, and then we should get an offer, right? But if that doesn't happen and we get 3 to 5 showings, that means that we're 5 to 10% off on our price. And Neil, if we get no showings, that could mean we're 20% off on our price. But either way, I'm going to keep you updated. So that you know exactly what's happening every single week. Fair enough? Fair enough. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So not the most fun conversation, but it needs to be had, and that's why they choose us, right? That's why we're their agents.
You're right. They're looking for disclosure. They're looking for confidence. It's got to sound like it in your voice. You have to have a plan. And you do. You come across 100% that way. So, and that comes from knowing your statistics, previewing property, making sure that all the stuff is happening. So with that, I would assume you've set up to talk to your clients more often than you were doing, let's say, 3 or 4 months ago.
I almost feel like we're back to those normal markets, in like 2008 and 9 and 10.
Right.
Where we were just the traditional, obviously that was a really buyer market heavy, but that trained us for this market. So I have to have conversations with all of my sellers, at least like pick a day, Thursday. Whereas before I wasn't talking to them because listed, sold, and, off to the transaction coordinator.
Right.
So every Thursday they need to have a call from Monique Walker saying, hey, these are the amount of showings. These are the number of price reductions that your zip code has had. And, this is what's gone pending. They just need all those stats every single month, and then not every single week, that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that see, Monique, you have some experience with this because you started in 5, 6, and 7. That was the market ramped up, flattened out, and then nosedive.
Crashed. Yep.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the agents that we're talking to here have never experienced this. So they don't even know what they don't know. And that's really where I'm trying to use some of this conversation. Also, some of us that have been around for a long, long time forgot. Oh yeah, we used to do this, or we used to do this, or like previewing property. Previewing property to me is like oxygen for anything. Today, agents, they look at me like I'm on drugs for suggesting that they preview property.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, and this is hits on Robert's point, is my coach said, hey, every single month on the 1st or the 2nd, look at your market stats. So I touch upon that just a little bit, but know your stats. So, and know them before you go to the listing appointment. So, in the last 30 days, did you know that there was 10 price reductions, and our average time on the market increased from, 30 days on the market to 33 days. So imagine next month, if we're on pace to increase agent days on market 3 days, that could be like another, 40 days, in the next, month or so, or not month or so, but year or so. So know that the time on the market, the agent days on the market, the list price to sales price, and then the price reductions, for that zip code. That's so empowering for you. Right. And then you almost don't even have to say price reduction. They're just hearing, oh my gosh, there was 15 price reductions.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's taking 40 days
Right.
average to actually get a home. I don't want to wait 40 days.
No, we haven't had to do that for a lot of years.
I haven't had to study the market as much today. Right. And I haven't had to study the market in the last 2 years. I feel like I'm actually becoming a good agent again, because
Wow.
I've reaped the benefits of just being a human being that sells real estate, and it has a good reputation. And now I have to go back to training myself, right, to set expectations properly, to have a better schedule, to actually contact my sellers every single day, every single week, right, that I designate for that seller conversation.
That's exactly correct. So Monique, let me ask you a question. I mean, I feel that you're up. I think your attitude is really good. Look, you're opening and closing business, but today you just had 2 fall out, and that's not normal for you. So
Yeah.
it's like that kind of sense, but you got this great smile. I mean, do you read books? Do you drink a certain alcohol? What do you do every day to get you to this state so that you can go out and serve the public?
Number one, I definitely have cut alcohol from my being. There's just, I want to wake up clear and energized. And so what do I do? So I actually absolutely love to exercise. I feel like that is, I used to do it in the morning pre-kids, 5:30 to 6:30. I changed my schedule, 13 years ago to do it in the middle of the day, just what works for me. But I wake up and I do my prayer and my devotional time. I get my mind right. So I'm telling God, thank you and my gratitudes, and then telling and asking him, like today, I'm like, I only have 1 hour to prospect. Lord, I want to get a great appointment. I want to do some deals. And that's every morning, right? Because I feel like I'm so blessed to do this job. Just like Mike says, like, what else can I do that would pay me this kind of money? I mean, how could, making over $1 million for the last 5 years, I can't do anything else, right? So I just feel highly blessed.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So no particular books that you're not going to point to something that other than the routine and the gratitude that you have right
I mean,
now?
it's just a constant. I have a couple mastermind groups that I'm a part of. We just got done reading The Gap and the Gain. That's a tremendous book. Read it, read it. I'm reading it with my team right now. The Gap and the Gain. And then the other audio book that I'm reading at the moment is Money and the Law of Attraction. And that really is interesting thoughts, how much of our vibrations and our intention to want something, if we just think about it, and we focus on it, and like Mike says, it expands. You asked me, what do you think your superpower is, Monique? And it's so boring. It's two things. One is I'm consistent. I'm just consistent every single day. I'm going to hit somewhere between 25 to 30 contacts. I'm going to have the conversations because I know those lead to my appointments. And then two is blind faith. Like every single month, I'm like, I'm going to do 12 deals. I don't see them. I don't know where they're coming from. My pipeline's not that full, but it's going to happen somehow, some way. And then guess what? It happens.
It happens. That's great. That's fantastic. Let's do this. Let's open it up to a few questions and then see where that takes us. And then we'll come back to this. Questions for Monique Walker. Questions for Monique.
Yeah, Monique, Miguel Solar here. Thanks
Hey,
for
Miguel.
sharing. I appreciate it. How you doing? It's good to see you again.
Awesome.
Quick question. So on your probates, you're saying that I heard you say they're out of towners, right? Because maybe the kids live in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
How are you getting the phone numbers for that?
So I use a company called All the Leads.
Okay.
Yep.
All the leads done and done.
Mm-hmm.
And so that ties in with the address and it kind of just spiders out to family members, et cetera.
Yes, they'll give you about 4 numbers. And, I like to focus on that first one, on that first round, because there's about 350 or, 400 leads that come in.
Got it.
And then start calling all the numbers.
And I suspect you'll use that for probates or any other addresses that you're trying to get information or phone numbers on that maybe are outside of probate as well. So it works
I'm
for
sorry, what's the question?
So I suspect that you use all the leads for probates and other phone numbers of addresses that you're trying to get. So it's not specific to probate. It's for all phone numbers.
No, it's just for probate.
Oh, good to know.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Interesting. Good. Great question, Miguel. You didn't even know how great a question it was.
Well, here, I'll give you another little tidbit, but I'm sure everybody already does it. I'm surprised that I get about a call or two a month from just sending out letters to probates. And I'm surprised that these people actually call me. Yesterday, I got a call that said, yeah, my brother said that you called him and you need to remove his mailing address. I said, done and done. And by the way, do you need to sell your home? Well, yeah, but I already got it taken care of. Oh, perfect. So are you looking to list it with an agent or are you looking for a cash offer? And he's like, well, I'm going to actually meet with somebody on Saturday. I said, well, that's fantastic. I'd love to be a second agent because this is a really big decision, isn't it? And you being the PR, need to have, great representation. Can I be a second, agent that you interview?
I love it.
So anyways, letters work with probates.
Good little script there. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Good job. Josie.
Hi, Josie.
Monique, hi, how
Hi.
are you? Thank
Good.
you so much.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. So I'm getting your emails.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I know you. So how do you do that? Do you have a system, a person, or a company?
Yeah, I use viral marketing.
Okay.
So I've used them for, I think, about 10 years now. And so you record your videos and then you send it to them and then they'll do all the editing for you and they'll keep the database, as you're adding people and removing people. And so they're constantly updating the database for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Go ahead, Barry. Barry, you have your hand up?
Hey, Monique, I was watching the college golf last night and it's in Scottsdale. So
Awesome.
congratulations. Great golf course. Hey, I may not have heard this. We always have trouble getting going on those first calls. How do you force yourself to call? Do you block schedule? What do you do to make yourself, you said 35 contacts a day?
Mhm. Man, Bear, I don't know about you. What time do you guys have to call an expired or canceled so that you're not like the 5th or 10th caller?
I better start around 7:30.
The day before.
or the day before. That's always what's on my mind because
That's
I'm
where
thinking,
Tess is calling them.
love it. And I'm with you. Like if I don't call the new cancels that day, like that's part of, I just added that back into my schedule because now there's cancels to call, right? So I'm like, I've got to call the new cancels and then I've got to start at 7:30 or else, I feel like by 8:15, people stop picking up their phone. So it's like, what's the most efficient use of your time, right?
So Monique, let me ask you a question on the new cancels.
Mhm.
You get those on a daily basis in a bunch. No, you get them when they cancel.
Correct. So I have to manually upload the new canceled. So I do that through Land Voice and then I sync it with Mojo.
Okay, you can't get that when they cancel, the moment they cancel from your MLS?
Not until the next day.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's an advantage that everybody at Masters has is because our MLS gives it to you at the moment it cancels.
So the MLS gives it to us, right?
Correct,
But
correct.
then what's the process of getting the phone numbers for the new canceled? Then you have to upload those new canceled into a system to give you all the
Well,
phone
there
numbers.
aren't that many new cancels, so we make it in a tight market and we get that phone number, or we prefer driving by. And because you're working a tight market, maybe that works in your area, but our area is just too many miles.
Got it.
Too many miles and way too much traffic.
Yeah. But I guess the point being is, Barry, it's like, you got to be the first, second, third caller, right? Or else it becomes that much more difficult. And then, on probates, it's like, I've got to be one of the first agents to be calling. So I've got to get on the list, quickly. So those are like you've got to be the first agent. And then of course, the beauty about having a database, right, is that you can call your database anytime, whenever. You just have to time block it. So I just make sure that my goal is to finish all my prospecting by 11. So I start at 7:30 and I end at 11.
Got it. And I think what Barry was asking, I think it was answered, but maybe not, is on the days that you don't want to make those first or second or third phone calls, what do you do to do those? And if I did hear an answer, the answer probably went, you don't have an option, you just do it anyway.
Yeah, you know what, Barry, I have, 4 buyer's agents and they're constantly not making their 20 contacts. So I challenged one of them. I said, let's have a contest. Every day that you don't do your 20 is $50 to me. Every time I don't do my 20 past clients, it's $50 to you. So, I still play the games, and then I have 4 buddies from across the country and we text each other when we take a listing. So I think accountability is just so key. I don't care if you're in the business for a day or 20 years. You just have to keep those accountability partners going and that team, keep yourself vulnerable, right? To making your contacts and taking your listings. It's just that basic.
Love it. Good stuff. Great question, Barry. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, Tess, go ahead.
Okay, so hi, Monique.
Hey, Tess.
Hi. Okay, so I want to understand your process. Obviously, when you have a past client, it's easier to get the listing because they know you.
Right.
When you have a lead on a listing, how many touches do you do before you actually have that listing?
So I took an expired listing, which by the way, I can't remember the last time I took an expired listing. So this is kind of exciting. And so I took that listing so I took it on Monday. So my ISA, I have an ISA, and she spoke to them on Saturday. And on Saturday, I didn't want to meet anybody. So I said, give that to one of the other agents because I'm going on appointments Monday through Thursday. That's the goal. And so she talked to them on Saturday. And then I talked to them on Monday booked the appointment. I took the listing on Tuesday. That's typically like 1 or 2 touches is pretty typical for that expired market. I would say probates, you're probably more looking at because there's a process there, you know, with the
Yeah.
probate court.
Probate.
That, okay. So that could be like 3 to 5 maybe conversations,
Mhm.
right? But I would say, you know, Mike says that 70% of our business comes from lead follow-up, right?
Got it. So do
that's-
you send them anything? Let's say, for instance, because it's easier to do this, but on an expired, they don't know you, right? And you want them to be comfortable. You have the first conversation. Do you send them something?
Yeah.
Like follow-up emails or send flyers or postcards? How many, I want to understand the touches that you do for the whole.
Okay, yeah. So we do have the drip campaign. I still use Top Producer. So anytime anybody speaks to me, and they're a buyer, they get that drip, and that goes out. I believe it's twice a month. So it's not, and that will happen for 2 years.
Okay.
And then on the listing side, it's the same thing. But as soon as I speak to a lead, that they're going to get an email from me that day.
Mhm.
And then I also add them to HomeBot.
Got it. All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, so my next question would be, since you do probates and I do those too.
Mhm.
So what do you say whenever they say that, oh, don't worry about it, my attorney is handling it, you know?
Oh, right. That's fantastic. So will the attorney be making the decision on who your realtor is going to be?
Well, typically they would make the decision.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. So can I call the attorney directly? Because I'd certainly love to interview for the job.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Good stuff. Great. Okay, other questions for Monique? Just call out. We've got 3 pages here.
Yeah, Monique Miguel again. So you mentioned automation, and I appreciate that because set and forget. And you brought up HomeBot, right? And I've been approached about HomeBot. And so what do you like about HomeBot that is something that you want to keep in your as a tool?
So I've been using Market Snapshot for forever, like, I don't know, 7 years, because it's through Top Producer. And I always liked it because it tells you who's looked at the data. And then HomeBot does the same thing. So what do I like about it? I get more feedback from HomeBot than I do Market Snapshot. So I think it's a sexier, simpler information.
That's it.
Yep.
More attractive. There we go.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there's something attractive about it.
Mhm.
It's, I've been getting it on some of my properties, and I've told the agents that send it to me, I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. I like the information that I get. And if you're good, and the price is about the same, you know, just a commercial, but it works for me as a consumer really well.
And it tells you, same thing, right? It's going to tell you when people have researched, have gone into it, they can ask for requests for a CMA.
Okay. So it's really robust. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Good investment.
Good stuff. All right. What else? Other questions for Monique, please? Speak up because I can't see you.
So Monique, question with, working from home,
Hi,
having
Monique.
the kids, did you alter your schedule at all? Or do you have the same basic schedule that, Mike and so on and so forth recommend?
So did I alter my schedule? I did alter my schedule at the beginning when I had the girls, where I would start. I've always been, I know the early bird gets a worm, right? So it was really hard for me to ever change that piece. So I thought, okay, so I want to spend mornings, and mornings would be like 6 to 7 a.m., right? So I can keep being one of the first callers. So that was just, I'm hyper competitive, I'm motivated, like I want to win. So the changes were that, instead of working out in the morning, I would work out at noon. Really, that was probably the biggest change. And, having a nanny here at the house was super helpful. And then me training myself, like when I hear a baby crying, I can't leave the office. It doesn't mean that they need me. I can only leave the office if the nanny knocks on the door and says she needs help. And then the girls know now that they're 12 and 13, they actually ask me, hey, mommy, did you do your 30 contacts? I'm like, shoot, I should have never told you. Damn, no, goodbye. I'm back in the office. So now they've bought into it because they're like, hey, mommy, we want to go on that trip to Colombia. Like, get back into your office.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's really good. It's not uncommon for people to have the kids and or whatever the case may be, but I find it a lot of people struggle or make an excuse at least that, well, I don't have time to do this. I can't, and I don't have the schedule to do that. So I appreciate you kind of letting you know that it's totally doable.
It's
You
so
just structure
doable.
it correctly.
And the less time you have to work, the more efficient you're going to be.
That's
Right?
true.
It's those days that I don't have anything to do. And then I spend all day prospecting. How awful does that feel? You know, when you're like 4 o'clock and you've made like 18 contacts and you're like, what the, no. So now I've shortened my period of time of prospecting. I used to prospect until 12. And I'm like, Tony, I think I can get 30 contacts in 7:30 to 11. So if you shorten up your time, you're just going to be more efficient because you don't have options. You got to minimize those options.
That was
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Good question. All right.
Hey,
Other
Monique,
questions?
quick question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hey Monique, if you were to change markets right now and you had to start fresh with no database, what's the first thing you would do?
Ooh, that is a good question, David. My goodness gracious. I'd probably have to go back to the basics. And I remember when I first started, I was a big door knocker and I had a lot of success door knocking face to face. So I'd probably go back to door knocking. I'd probably hook up with a really good team as well that took a lot of listings so I could piggyback and prospect off of their listings. And then prospect my hiney off. I'd probably do 50 contacts a day instead of, right now my numbers analyzer says 28. So I'd go back to massive amounts of prospecting.
Good advice. Good stuff. Great question, David. Good stuff. All right. Other questions for Monique before we move on here to our next phase?
Monique, there was a question in the chat box that says, define a lead that you pursue. Do all other leads go into a system? When are they removed? How often?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I really try to keep to, I don't have a lot of leads. Like I have this cork board that I'm looking at the moment, and it says, it's my stalker list. So that's my leads. And I don't have that many because I don't have that many people that are looking to sell within 7 to 10 days. So that's a lead for me, someone who's going to sign that contract within 7 to 10 days. And then I have my, listing appointments and then properties that I'm negotiating or doing wholesale deals. Since I do probably about 20 to 25 wholesale deals a year. I love using my iPhone. I don't know if Mike would approve of this because I don't like using paper, but if there's a lead that says, you know what, I have to wait until the court approves the probate and my appointment is on July 1st, no matter what, I'm going to cut that time in half and I'm going to call them in 2 weeks because things just change. So anytime a lead tells you to call them in a certain amount of time, just cut that time in half and then call them then. And I would say another great thing to do is just, if someone's just not motivated and they don't have to do something, I'm really trying to just not put them in my database. I'm just trying to really throw them away and just try to call the next person or call a past client. So I think in the past, it's been a mistake that I've made. I've held on to leads too long. I've called them too often. I don't know why I'm thinking I'm going to change their mind. Right. So does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's good. Excellent, Ernie. Great question.
I have
Good
another
stuff.
question for Monique.
Yeah, go ahead. And one second. Alma, would you make sure that you post Monique's contact information in the chat box?
Yes.
Yeah, do
Yes,
that,
of
Alma.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Can I ask?
Please.
All right, Monique, since you talk a lot about probate, how many probates do you do? What's the percentage?
So I'll probably do about 30 a year.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot of those are, I would say half of them are listings and half of them are, I'm bringing them a cash offer.
Ooh. All right.
Mhm.
I'll call you about that. Thanks.
Yeah. Gotta bring them all their options.
Exactly.
All right, good. Okay. So unmute yourselves, please. Let's give Monique a big, giant round of applause. Woo! All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so fun. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you.
It's my
Monique,
pleasure.
What we tend to do now, what we try to do is we're going to go around the room, take a few minutes and kind of, I asked the question, what did you learn? What did we learn from Monique? And everybody has a different answer, et cetera. You're welcome to hang with us and listen to some of the answers. But I know if you have a hard stop, don't worry about it. You know, this is all going to be recorded and we'll send it to you in a couple of days. So
Oh, so awesome.
thank you so much.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
Neil,
Thank
real
you.
quick, did you ask her what her superpower is? Did I miss that?
Yeah, she mentioned it.
What
Well,
was it?
actually, I didn't ask her. She read it in the note we sent her and she said, you're going to ask me what my superpower is.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And one
It was so
is-
impactful
Yeah.
that he forgot.
No.
I didn't.
So-
I didn't forget because it's interesting. You wrote down my superpowers. Okay. There's no one more consistent than I am
Consistency.
on this planet.
I love it.
Okay. I'm just. It's freaky. And the second one is.
Consistency and faith.
And then the other one was blind faith. And, you know, I've been following Mike for 50 years. And when we first started this, there was one agent at the Superstar Retreat in Newport Beach, California. Her name was Dodie Donahue, and she did 50 transactions a year. One agent is all he could find. Okay. And that was it. And he's built this organization with the idea that if you do this, you'll get that. And at that time, he was only pointing at one person. That's blind faith. And all of us, Monique, you and Tess, myself, you have all of the great superstars, the Karen Bernardis, the Neil Weichels, the Bernie Gallerinis, I mean, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of names. 50 transactions is like, there's a day in the park, you know? So blind faith, this you will do this thing will work for you. And, you know, it will be and can be amazing for you. So again, Monique, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Big time, big time. Okay, so what did we learn today? What did we learn from this wonderful young lady from the hot state of Arizona? How hot is it there today? Must be
Hot, very hot.
must be hot.
105. I mean, no
See,
big deal.
a cakewalk. Okay, what do we learn?
Neil, for Miguel, it was the script, right? I really I like listening to information and try to turn it into script, but you nailed it, right? It was, are you going to listen, or you're listening with an agent, or are you looking for a cash offer? And I think with all the information coming out with cash offers and iBuyers, Zillow stuff, I think that's a conversation worth bringing up. It's a level shift.
Oh
right?
my gosh. Can I just tell you that I just added that to my pre-qual?
Yeah.
Yes. And I was just yesterday on our team call. We're like, oh my gosh, we have to add the question, do you want a cash offer and have you already received any? Before you go on that listing appointment.
Interesting. So that opens up the conversation clearly, right?
Yes, because we got burned this week.
Interesting.
We were there with our listing and he's like, oh no, I want a cash offer. How did we miss that?
Great. That's good to know.
Great point. Got to add that, Robert.
Okay,
Good
I'll
stuff.
go.
All right, go ahead, Tess, please.
I think for her discipline like what she said, consistency, being a mom, I think she really has to follow that schedule. And I think she's really nailing it with her schedule from 7:30 to 11. That's awesome. And then working from Monday to Thursday. I think that's what she said, if I remember. That is beautiful. Really sticking with the schedule and be very disciplined, not only schedule, but also the mindset.
Absolutely.
Hey, we can role play, Tess.
I'd love to. I'll give
Let's
you a
do
call.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, good job. What else did we learn today, everybody?
You know, Neil, for me, actually, it was funny because the thing I wrote down was the blind faith. I just missed the superpower word right before that. So I did. That was the point. Not just the blind faith, because everyone, and we always talk about blind faith, but just how confident she sounded. And it was, I just keep saying, I'm going to get 12 deals, and I get the 12 deals. I keep saying I'm going to make 30 contacts, and I make 30 contacts. Like there's one thing to have blind faith, but there's one thing to actually believe it, I guess. And she's really confident that she's going to get 30 contacts. She's going to get the 12 deals. And I think that's a very powerful thing that people miss on the mindset is, yeah, it can happen. It can happen. I know it can happen, but do you really believe it? Do you have the conviction within yourself? I thought just the way she said that was the big takeaway I had.
Oh my gosh, Neil, am I not supposed to talk right now? Because of course now I want to really talk. Real fast.
By the way, Monique, that's usually what happens.
Okay. I've been really good at shutting my brain off because maybe not everybody has the belief, right? But sometimes the confidence comes from doing the actions. And a lot of times I just remember, Monique, turn off the brain. Like you just got 25 no's, you have like no listings, like no appointments, like turn off the brain and just get back on the phone, and then after you finish, your contacts, you're going to feel that much more confident. And then, bam, that 30th call, you're like, yes, I got a yes. So sometimes you have to manufacture that confidence, but it's going to come from having that routine and being consistent with it.
Thank you for sharing that. That's all I needed. Thank you. That's good.
That's it. Miguel's leaving now.
Yeah, my God.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
See you later.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
All right. Other things that we learned from Monique today, please.
One of the things I learned is her attitude, her joyful energy is very contagious.
It is. Isn't it wonderful?
Thank you.
Yeah. People want to do business with that. They don't want to do business with Mr. and Mrs. Grump. Okay. Good
Neil,
job.
I have one to share.
Please, Abigail.
I did learn something. She put the market stats in the listing packet. Usually I take them in with me, but I think I would like to include them in the listing packet so they can, get the idea.
Good. I think that's a great idea. Don't flood them though, Abigail.
All right.
Don't
And
flood them
that's-
with numbers.
Yeah, it's a good conversation to have versus maybe data in the listing packet, but definitely have that conversation like, hey, what do you think's happening in the market, right? Because everybody thinks something a little differently, but
Right.
you
What was
have the-
interesting? I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, but just you have the most accurate information, right? Like us as the
Absolutely.
agents. Yeah.
Well, it was very interesting, Monique, because where I took this, what you said, and I'm going to use it in what I do, which is the recruiting side of it. Because most agents don't really know the numbers. I think our company is very unique that way. We use the numbers all the time. But what I heard you say, which was, I don't know if you know this, but there was 14 price reductions in your zip code last month. I can't tell you how powerful that piece of information is, and you don't need a big graph for it. Okay, I can use that on a listing presentation, on a recruiting presentation and say, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but actually in the city of Irvine last month, there were 47 properties that got reduced. Let me ask you a question. What are you going to do to learn how to reduce properties in this upcoming marketplace? Could you use help with that?
Ooh, that's huge.
So when you're looking for a real estate agent, by the way, Monique, I was kind of curious, when are you planning on moving?
To Southern California.
Well,
I've
know,
thought
Great
about it
home
a lot,
offices here.
actually.
Great home offices.
And the price points rise up. And, it's pretty, and working from home is really such a pleasure if you've got the ocean and the view. So did you want me to have a phone call with you and your husband, or would it be best with you and the kids?
Just call Chris. I'm a yes.
Okay, Robert, set up the truck.
Yeah, on it.
Okay, good stuff. What else did we learn?
I also, I didn't learn this, but I think it's a great reminder for people that don't do it, is get your kids involved in the goals.
Yeah.
She said that the kids are asking her about, did you do the 30 contacts? We want to go to Colombia. We want to do this. Like, when you get the kids involved, they become an asset. If you don't get them involved, they become a liability, because
Ooh, I like that.
so it's
way
very,
you
very
put it.
important that you do that.
Mhm.
Great, good stuff. Very, very good stuff. All right, everybody, let's give her a big hand, Monique Walker. Woo!
So fun, so fun.
I actually have
Alma
one
posted-
more question if you can answer it real quick.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
It's more of a time management thing.
Mhm.
I know you started as a solo agent
Mhm.
and you moved to like getting an assistant and all that stuff. How do you, I want more detail on that. Because as far as a solo agent, you have to do everything. You have to do the admin work. You have to set up your appointments. You have to, so all of that, how do you transition, or as far as me being more efficient to do that next transition to the next level?
Yeah. I mean, do you have an assistant today?
No.
Okay, that would just be your first hire, would be an assistant, and they would be your listing coordinator and your transaction coordinator. They would be like your everything. And then that would be your first one. And then your second hire would be, I would think, would be a buyer's agent or collaborating with somebody in the office that wants to take your buyers. I guess maybe I should back up, is I made a decision because I wanted to be home and I didn't want to keeping a buyer's agent because I was one for 3 years and I was working like buyer's agents do, like a dog. And I work weekends and evenings, and I thought, well, I'm going to have children and I want to be home, period. So I remember making the decision with my coach, I'm going to be a listing agent. So when I made that decision, then I need a listing coordinator, and then I need a transaction coordinator, and I need a buyer's agent.
And is that something you did like without having per se listings yet? Is that something you did right away?
I remember I made the decision in 2009 because that's when I had my daughter. And that was the mind shift, making that choice first. And then knowing that, okay, if I'm going to do that, then I have to have a really strict schedule. And that's when, the morning prospecting is like, there's nothing that comes before that, right? That's like the foundation of the business. So I get the listing appointments. So if a buyer needs to see a house, well, A, it's not going to be me, and B, it's not going to be during the morning.
Quick question, Monique, how do you decide exactly what percentage to pay like a buyer's agent or a listing coordinator?
I would ask them, because some of people are motivated by like bonuses, right, and transactions, and some really function off of more of just security and a base salary. So with my buyer's agents, we've always just done a 50-50 split. But when it comes to my listing coordinators and transaction coordinators, like whatever, our city's average is, for that administrative duty. But then we ask them, would you like more bonuses, or do you like more, of a salary? And then I think every year, the normal increase is like, I don't know, 2 to 3. Probably now, Neil, is it like 5%? Obviously you want to review that, on an annual basis.
I think it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think that when you run into an expectation, that is already an interesting individual. So I think you would probably look at that, Monique, yourself and your people. This has been phenomenal. One of the best, I might say. Yeah, I mean, I would say that,
So cool. Thank you. I had a blast.
Karen Bernardi might not agree, but she's
Oh,
not
I
here, right?
beat Karen. That's it. I'm done. I'm
Definite-
done
you-
with real
you're-
estate.
you're-
I've
Monique,
hit the pinnacle.
You're in very, very good company, okay? And there is a link to all the talks that we have in the interviews. And you've just done a fantastic job, and we really appreciate it. You were very open. I can see why you take a lot of listings and you make this feel effortlessly. This is